अरहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी राग ते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर चोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। हो मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So our discussion on sequence bound modification, a study that we started last week. Three classes we have done so far on Krambat Paryay, and today is the fourth class. And hope you are understanding this discussions. If you have any doubts, you can always ask. So last week we were discussing 4 anuyogs. Okay, so we were discussing 4 anuyogs, and in 4 anuyogs we have covered Pratmanuyog and Karnanuyog. So today we will be discussing Charnanuyog and Dravyanuyog. Okay, so first we will discuss Charnanuyog. Charnanuyog is not given in the textbook, but you have to write it, what we can cover in terms of Charnanuyog. Okay, so according to Charnanuyog, we have to consume the milk once it is taken out from the cow from the cow within 48 minutes. Okay, if we don't heat it up within 48 minutes, then infinite samurchan jeev gets birth in it. Okay, now how could we know about that? Just because it has come in the scriptures, that's why we know. So if it is not fixed, then how would the omniscience would have known it? Okay, so that is the first point. Then when we filter water, there are two types of I would say limitations to consume that water. One is 6 hours. If you put in something like loving in that, okay, and the color changes, then it is a 6 hours. And if you heat it up to a certain level of boiling point, then the duration is 24 hours. You can use that water within 24 hours. After 24 hours, that water will expire. Okay, so that is not supposed to be used. The third point is like wheat's flour. In rainy season, you can use it up to 3 days. In summer season, it is 5 days. And in winter season, it is 7 days. Okay, so these are the limitations of wheat's flour. Beyond that, it is not supposed to be used. Then there are some commodities in terms of food which are consumable, and there are some which are unconsumable. How do we know that? That has also come from Sarvagna's omniscience being's knowledge. Okay. Then what is the true identity of Dev Shastra Guru? That also we come from that only. Then there is a Shat Avashyaks. Shat Avashyaks means 6 essential duties of a householder, and again 6 essential duties of a monk. That has also been enumerated in Charnanuyog, and accordingly we have to behave. So all these instructions from Charnanuyog goes on to prove that since so much of minute details is given about all these things, so if it is not fixed, then how the omniscience would know it? So these also goes on to prove the principle of sequence bound modification. Now coming on to the Dravyan Yoga, that we will start the discussion right now, page number 36. So here in one paragraph, it is written that likewise in Charnan Yoga and Dravyan Yoga, also the same truth has been reflected. Okay. So Charnan Yoga, nothing is mentioned in this, but we just discussed it now. Okay. And Dravyan Yoga, of course, we will be discussing it right now. Okay. So first we will read, I will briefly explain you the verse number 99 of Pravachan Sarji. And this is, they are not taking any help of omniscience knowledge. Okay. But they are explaining is from the nature of things. Okay. So verse number 99 of Pravachan Sarji explains this principle of Krambat Paryay by nature of things. Okay. We don't have to depend on the omniscience knowledge, but from the nature of things, we can also prove it that everything is fixed. Each modification of each substance is fixed and it happens accordingly. There is nothing that you can change in those sequence. Okay. So that is what is mentioned in verse number 99. And let's read it some paragraph and then I will explain. So Rajeshri ji, you start reading. Likewise in Charnan Yoga and Dravyan Yoga. I will make a co-host. Darshit ji, I'm making you co-host. Is it okay? Okay, I will do this.
Jai Jinendra, yeah,
Screen share,
okay.
right? Screen share, no?
Yeah.
Likewise, in Charnanu Yoga and Dharmanu Dravyanu
Yes.
Yoga, also the same truth has been reflected. We have already quoted Samaysarji, Atma Khyati, and Kartikyan Anupeksha. The commentary of Pravachan Sar, verse 102, also supports the principle. In the commentary of verse 99 of Pravachan Sar, the thing has been amply clarified by citing an example of necklace as below. Though a substance is one from the point of indivisibility, the same divisions in space, sequence are its pradeshas. In the same manner, the nature of substance as a whole being one, the small divisions in the time sequence are its modification. Just as the reason of space sequence is the variation in spatial units, so also the reason of time sequence is the variation in modification. Just as the small spatial units destroy their past forms and assume new forms, from the point of view of the same substance, being not destroyed and born, remain origination, disappearance, and permanence pronged. In the same manner, those modifications in their own time destroy their past variations and assume new dimensions, and from the point of view of the unbroken flow of the substance, as such remain origination, disappearance, and permanence nature. And just as the smallest spatial unit is born out of the destruction of the past shape in the form of another spatial unit, and from the point of view of the unbroken flow of the existence of the substance, include both variations or none out of the two. In the same manner, the smallest time unit destroys its previous shape and is born as the next time unit. And the same from the point of view of the continuity of the time substance embraces both the modification. In this manner, in regular flow of the three-natured modification, the substance does not leave its nature, and as such, existence should be held to be the three-pronged only like the pearl necklace. For example, in the flowing necklace, which has assumed a particular length, amongst all the pearls shining in their own places, the pearls in one position have their own entities, not assuming pearls in the next position, and from the three-pronged nature of substance, assert the three origination, disappearance, and permanence nature of the necklace itself. In the same manner, the modified substance, which has accepted continuity in all modifications in their own different conditions, the previous ones are born before and then the new one do not take shape. For this reason, and everywhere from the continuity point of view of the substance itself, the three-pronged origination, disappearance, and permanence nature stands established. In simple words, the smallest unit in the length development is the spatial unit. In the same way, the smallest unit of the height development is its modification. Each modification in its own time is born in its own shape, destroys its own previous form, and continuity of modification being there. Every modification, bereft of birth and destruction, retains its own shape. There is no time difference in origination, disappearance, and permanence. All the three happen at one and the same time. In such origination, disappearance, and permanence continuity, the substance always exists as such. The substance itself is like the pearl necklace, origination, disappearance, and permanence nature. Shall I continue?
Yes.
In the above context, continuity point of view, which has been used a number of times, deserves our attention. For the example of a pearl necklace, just as the space of the pearls is fixed in the necklace, the time of appearance of the pearls in the looming necklace is also fixed. In the same manner, just as the spatial units of the substance are definite, the flow of time units therefore is also definite. Here, the continuity of time units have been explained with the help of all sequence of the spatial units because the sequence of spatial units can easily be comprehended. Just as we look at the substance from the whole space development, the whole space is one. In the same manner, the substance, that is, all the modifications of the past, present, and future, if viewed simultaneously, the time is one. Just as there's a sequence in the spatial units, there's a sequence also in modification. Just as the space sequence of a substance is a space unit, the smallest division of the time sequence is a modification. Though this statement is from the point of view of all the substance, if its space sequence is understood in relationship to space substance, it would be convenient. Just as the spatial unit of the space substance, wherever it is located, remains located there alone, change in its position is not possible. Likewise, the spatial units in the substance are fixed. This same truth has been explained with the example of the pearl necklace. Just as the sequence of pearls does not change even in the looming necklace, the same way the sequence of spatial units in active creatures does not change. Just as the sequence of space and other substances is fixed, their time sequence is also fixed. Just as no change is possible in the fixed space sequence, it is so fixed. It is so with fixed time sequence also. Just as the position of every spatial unit is fixed, so also is fixed the time of each modification. Just as there is length in the reel of a picture in cinema, the position of the pictures are fixed wherever they are. These positions cannot be altered. Likewise, the time of every picture in the sequence is fixed. No alterations are possible. We may not know which picture will follow. That makes no difference, for that would come in its fixed sequence only. Just as from the spatial point of view, the steps on the staircase are in an unalterable fixed sequence, in the same manner, the time sequence of going over them is also fixed and unalterable. Just as we can go over them in sequence, likewise, the time sequence of going over them is also fixed. Just as the number of spatial units of the Loka Akash are the same of those of a living being, likewise the time units of all the three, past, present, and future times, are exactly the same as the modifications of each substance. Just as each time unit is located on each space unit of Lokakaj, likewise each one of the time unit has against it a modification of each substance. Thus, when each modification is pinned in its own time unit, how can any sequence of alteration operate in it? In this context, the following sentence in the commentary deserves our attention. Every modification takes shape in its time only. The conclusion from all this is that modification of a substance in whatsoever time and by whatsoever instrumental cause is to come into existence comes like that only. The well-known Acharya
Stop.
Samadbhadra.
Stop. Stop. So this Acharya Samandra statement in the next module. So this was module number 13. Okay. And it started from today's class. Okay. So we had completed 11 and this started from today's class. Yeah. So this was module number 12. Yes. Hmm. 12. Okay. So Charnan Yog we already discussed. Now Dravyan Yog. And in Dravyan Yog, verse number 99 of Pravachan Sarji. Now in this particular verse, the Acharyas are trying to explain us that as in a room, there are tiles, supposing 1 foot by 1 foot tiles are there. Okay. So there are say 15 tiles. Okay. Now, out of these 15 tiles, consider the tile number 12. Okay. Now, in the nature of things, every substance remains static. At the same time, they are also manifesting. So it is static while manifesting. It is manifesting while static. That is the nature of things of each and every substance. Now, what is static? Static is called dhruv or permanence. And what is manifesting? Utpad Vyay. Utpad is evolution and Vyay is extinction. Okay. So evolution and extinction goes on every moment and it is the function of the modification. And the substance remains permanent. In spite of evolution and extinction of the modification, the substance remains constant. Okay. That is called permanence. Okay. So now with the example of this spatial units. Okay. Spatial units means pradesh. Okay. So in the surface, there are tiles, one after the other. So in this room, say example, there are 15 tiles. Okay. Now, if you look at the 12th tiles, okay, then we will say this is the evolution of 12th tiles. At the same time, there is extinction of tiles number 11. Okay. Since we are looking at 12, we will consider extinction of tiles number 11. So previous one is extinct and new one is evolved. Okay. So this is extinction and evolved. And at the same time, the tile number 12. Okay. It is placed in the floor as it is. It cannot be changed. 12 cannot be removed and put it at the place of 11th and 11th in place of 12th. Since in the flooring, we cannot do that and we can readily accept it. Nobody has doubt about that? That in a particular room, if there are 15 tiles lengthwise, okay, and each tile says 1 square feet into 1 square feet. Now, this sequence cannot be changed. Everyone accepts this principle? Or do you have any doubts about that? I hope everyone is clear with that. Nobody have any
Yes,
doubt?
sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine, thank you. So, the smallest divisions of the this spatial units, okay, is called Pradesh. Similarly, the smallest division of time is called modification. Okay. So this is the definition of modification and the spatial units or pradesh. So सबसे छोटा अंश उसको हम कहेंगे प्रदेश. सरफेस का सबसे छोटा अंश. So in the example given right now, the flooring of the room, the tiles are the smallest indivisible spatial units. Okay. So tile number 11 is different from 12. 12 is different from 13. Each is different from another tiles. Okay. And this particular tile is the smallest indivisible units. Okay. And this is the division from the space point of view. Okay. So space sequence is fixed. 11th tile, then 12th tile, then 13th tile. So it will not change. The sequence will not, the space sequence will not change. The space sequence is called Pradesh. Similarly, the time sequence also will not change. By giving the example of space sequence, Acharya wants us to understand that as the space sequence cannot be changed, similarly, the time sequence cannot be changed. Okay, I'll give you one more example. So we are going to see around 6-7 examples. Okay, so this one was the tiles. This example is given by Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev in verse numbers 99's commentary of Pravachan Sarji Granth. Okay, so by giving the example of spatial units, he wants us to believe that as spatial units cannot be changed, similarly modification cannot be changed. Okay. And if the modification cannot be changed, then the principle of sequence bound modification is hereby explained, comprehensively explained and proved. Okay. So that is the objective of giving this example. So just as the small spatial units destroy their past forms. So when we look at 12 number tiles, 11 has been destroyed. And assume new forms, means number 12 is the new form. From the point of view of the same substance being not destroyed and born, remain origination, disappearance, and permanence prong. So this is called three-pronged principle. Okay. What are the three? Origination, disappearance, and permanence. Evolution, distinction, and permanence. Okay. So these are the three characteristics of the nature of things, that every substance, while it manifests every moment, it is also remaining permanent. From the point of view of substance, it is permanent, unchangeable, and from the point of view of modification, it is changing every moment. So every moment a new modification is evolving and the old modification is getting destroyed. And this goes on continuously without any stoppage, without any disturbance, and this is the nature of things. Okay. So as in the same manner, those modifications in their own time destroy their past variations. So now we consider the time factor, okay, the modifications. So 98 modification is the evolution. Then what would be the destruction? 97 would be the destruction. So in the same moment, there is evolution. In the same moment, there is destruction. And in the same moment, the modification is permanent. Now, how do that happen? So as I said, 98 is evolution, 97 is destruction, and that 98 number sequence in the whole chain of modification is fixed. It cannot be altered. So it is called dhruv or permanence. So in one moment, the origination is also there, the disappearance is also there, and permanence is also there. Okay. So this is what they wanted to explain by giving an example of the floor, okay, and the tiles. So this was the first example. Now we will see another 5-6 examples as we proceed with the explanation. In this manner, in the regular flow of the three natured modifications, page number 37, second paragraph. In this manner, in the 37, yeah, previous page. Yeah. Before that, there is example. 1 minute. Okay. Slightly ahead. Yeah. In this manner, right. In this manner, in the regular flow of the three natured modification. Now, what are the three natured? Evolution, distinction, and permanence. Origination, disappearance, and permanence. You can use either of the words. Not distinction, but extinction. Okay. Destruction is extinction. Okay. So evolution, extinction, and permanence. Okay. These are the three natured modifications. Okay. Simultaneously, it is happening in one moment of time. एक समय में होता है उत्पाद, व्यय और ध्रुव. तो जो नया हुआ वो उत्पाद है, पुराने का व्यय हुआ, और उसी समय जो उत्पाद है वो अपने सीक्वेंस में फिक्स्ड है, इसलिए उसको ध्रुव कहा. ओके. सो वन मॉडिफिकेशन, वी आर seeing the three natured modifications, okay, in one modification. So evolution, extinction, and permanence, all three happening in one moment. Okay. In this manner, in the regular flow of the three natured modification, the substance does not leave its nature, and as such, existence should be held to be three-pronged only, like the pearl necklace. This is the second example, pearl necklace. Okay. For example, in the flowing necklace, okay. So when we go to the temple, we do mala, okay. Om Namah Siddhebhya, Om Namah Siddhebhya, Om Namah Siddhebhya. So there are 108 pearls in that necklace, okay. So basically it is a kind of stone only, but we call it as pearls, okay. So that necklace is flowing necklace. Okay, flowing necklace. You are chanting mantra one after the other, and your hands also moves in, and every moment a new pearl comes up. The old one gets destroyed, and that pearl in that sequence of chain cannot be changed. So that is called permanence. So now we'll see the example. For example, in the flowing necklace, which has assumed a particular length amongst all the pearls shining in their own places. Okay. The pearls in the one position have their own entities, not assuming pearls in the next position. So each pearl is independent and its position in the necklace is fixed. Okay. So when we do that chanting through this mala, we leave the pearls, okay. We leave one pearl and get into another pearl. Then we leave that pearl and get into another. So this way the continuity is maintained, and each pearl in the necklace, the position is fixed, and that is permanence. So in one particular pearl, if you see, there is evolution and there is destruction of the previous pearl, and at the same time it is permanent also. Okay. And that is why it is called three-natured modification. Okay. So in the flowing necklace, which has assumed a particular length, amongst all the pearls shining in their own places, the pearl in the one position have their own entities, not assuming pearls in the next position. And from the three-pronged nature of substances, assert the three origination, disappearance, and permanence nature of the necklace itself. In the same manner, the modified substance which has accepted continuity in all the modification in their own different conditions, the previous ones are born before and then the new ones do not take shape. For this reason and everywhere from the continuity point of view of the substance itself, the three-pronged origination, disappearance, and permanence nature stands established. Okay. So it is proved from the necklace that every moment a new pearl comes up, and that is the evolution. The previous one gets extinct or destroyed, and that pearl in that particular sequence of the necklace is fixed, and that is called permanence. So every moment there is evolution, every moment there is extinction, and there is permanence also every moment. And this is called free-natured modification. In simple words, last paragraph on page number 37. In simple words, the smallest unit in the length development is the spatial units. Okay, spatial units, Pradesh. It is the smallest unit. In the same way, the smallest unit of the height development is its modification. Okay, so there is one vertical and there is one horizontal. Horizontal, the smallest unit is spatial units, and vertically, the time is the smallest unit. Okay. Each modification in its own time is born in its own shape, destroys its own previous form. Okay. And continuity of modification being there, every modification bereft of birth and destruction retains its own shape. That means that particular pearl is fixed in the necklace. It cannot be changed. We cannot interchange one pearl taking out and the another pearl fixing in that place and that pearl fixing in that place. That is not possible. Every pearl in the necklace is fixed and it will come in that sequence only. Nobody can change that sequence. So in simple words, the smallest unit in the length development is the spatial unit. In the same way, the smallest unit of the height development is its modification. Each modification, I am on page number 37, last paragraph. Yes. Each modification in its own time is born in its own shape, destroys its own previous form, and continuity of modification being there, every modification bereft of birth and destruction. Okay, we had read this one. Move ahead. Yeah. Retains its own shape. There is no time difference in origination, disappearance, and permanence. So every moment there is origination, there is disappearance of the previous modification, and there is the permanence of that modification in that sequence. All the three happen at one and the same time. In such origination, disappearance, and permanence continuity, the substance always exists. So substance exists in this format only. Okay. Utpad Vyay Dravya Yuktam Sat. Okay. It exists in this manner only. The substance always exists. As such, the substance itself is like the pearl necklace, origin, disappearance, and permanence nature. So modification is also having origination, disappearance, and permanence. And the substance also is having origination, disappearance, and permanence. Okay. In the above context, continuity point of view, which has been used a number of times, deserves our attention. From the example of the pearl necklace, just as the space of the pearl is fixed in the necklace, the time of appearance of the pearls in the looming necklace is also fixed. So when we chant mantra in the mandirji, we take this mala and each pearls comes automatically on its own, and that sequence cannot be changed. In the same manner, just as the spatial unit of the substance are definite, the flow of time units thereof is also definite. Okay. So as the spatial units are definite, it cannot be changed. Similarly, the time units also cannot be changed. And that is proving the principle of sequence bound modification. Here, the continuity of time units has been explained with the help of all sequence of the spatial units, because the sequence of spatial units can easily be comprehended. Okay, I'll give you one more example. Like we have Mumbai in the west in India, and Kolkata in the east, Delhi in the north, and Chennai in the south. These are the 4 metro cities. Now, Mumbai cannot be changed to Kolkata, and Kolkata cannot be changed to Mumbai. So this is very simple, and everyone is ready to accept this thing, that Mumbai cannot be changed to Delhi, and Delhi cannot be changed to Kolkata, and Kolkata cannot be changed to Chennai. Similarly, as we don't have any doubt in the space points, similarly, the modifications are also sequence bound, and it also cannot be changed. Okay. Just as we look at the substance from the whole space development, the whole space is one. Okay. The whole floor is one. And in that one floor, the tiles are different. So when we are looking at tiles number 12, 11 is disappeared. Okay. 12 has evolved. And that particular tile in that floor space is fixed. It cannot be changed. And that is permanence. So there is evolution, there is extinction, and there is permanence of the modification. Similarly, the substance also exists in similar fashion. The substance has also got evolution, extinction, and permanence. And if we accept this, then also we are proving sequence bound modification. Okay. Just as the space sequence of a substance is the space unit, the smallest division of the time sequence is the modification. Now, third example. Through this statement, though this statement is from the point of view of all the substance, if its space sequence is understood in relation to space substance, it would be convenient. Just as the spatial unit of space substance, Akash Dravya, okay, wherever it is located remains located there alone. In Akash, there are each Pradesh at every space point, and that is located there alone. Change in its possible position is not possible. Likewise, the spatial units in all the substance are fixed. This same truth has been explained with the example of pearl necklace. Just as the sequence of pearl does not change, even in the looming necklace, the same way the sequence of spatial units in active creatures does not change. Okay. Just as the sequence of space and other substance is fixed, their time sequence is also fixed. Just as no change is possible in the fixed space sequence, it is so with fixed time sequence also. Just as the position of every spatial unit is fixed, so also is fixed the time of each modification. So which modification will appear when is everything fixed. You cannot change the sequence. One more example. Just as there is length in the reel of a picture in cinema, okay? There is a length of each picture in the reel, okay? The next picture is different from the previous picture. Then the next picture in that sequence is different from the previous section. It goes on like that, okay? Because it is the smallest unit of space point, okay? Just as there is length in the reel of a picture in cinema, the position of the pictures are fixed. Whatever they are, wherever they are is fixed. These positions cannot be altered. Likewise, the time of every picture in the sequence is fixed. Which picture will come after which scene will come after which, everything in sequence is fixed. No alterations are possible. We may not know which picture will follow. That makes no difference, for that would come in its fixed sequence only. Even if we don't know which sequence will be the next, but that sequence is fixed. It does not make a difference if we do not know, but the sequence is fixed and that will come in its fixed sequence only. Next example, steps on the staircase, okay? Just as from the spatial point of view, the steps on the staircase are in an unalterable fixed sequence. In the same manner, the time sequence of going over them is also fixed and unalterable. Just as we can go over from them in a sequence, likewise, the time sequence of going over them is also fixed. So this is the example of a staircase. Now you can take an example of a modern example of a escalator. Okay, we have escalators in malls, in stations, railway stations, in airport, everywhere we have escalators. And what you have to just on board on that escalator, you have to board that escalator, and that will take you in the upper level, upper floor. Okay, and each steps the sequence is fixed. You cannot change the sequence. It will come one after the other, one after the other, and in no time you will reach the upper floor. Okay, so the sequence is fixed, the space point is fixed, the time is also fixed. Okay, just as the number of spatial units of lokakas are the same as those of a living beings. Okay, so number of spatial units of lokakash are same as those of a living beings. Okay, जितने प्रदेश एक आत्मा में है उतने ही प्रदेश लोकाकाश में है. This is one statement. The next statement, likewise, the time units of all the three, past, present, and future times are exactly the same as the modification of each substance. So, in one particular substance, the modifications, the number of modifications are same as there are time units of all the three past, present, and future times. Okay. Similarly, in the Lokakash, the spatial units are also fixed and their appearance are also fixed. Okay. So two things are there. The number of spatial units of Lokakash is the same as the number of spatial units of a living being. Similarly, likewise, the time units of all the three past, present, and future time are exactly the same as the modification of each substance. How many modifications will be there of each substance? The same number as there are past, present, and future times. Okay, so it will again be same. Just as each time unit is located on each space unit of Lokakash, likewise, each one of the time units has against it a modification of each substance. So each space unit of time has one modification. So there are innumerable infinite modifications and infinite space units. Both are independently performing their own duties. Thus, when each modification is pinned in its own time unit, how can any scheme of alteration operate in it? There cannot be any alteration done. In this context, now the next module is coming up. It is it's 3-4 lines later on, the next module will start. In this context, the following sentence in the commentary deserves our attention. Every modification takes shape in its time only. The conclusion from all this is that the modification of a substance in whatever so time and by whatever so instrumental cause is to come into existence comes like that only. There cannot be any change. Okay. So this is the end of 13th module, and here we have proved from Dravyan Yog, verse number 99 of Pravachan Sarji, without taking any support from the omniscience being, we have proved sequence bound modification. As we cannot change Bombay to Kolkata, Kolkata to Bombay, similarly, the time units are also sequence bound and it also cannot be changed. Okay. So this was the conclusion. Now moving on to the 14th module, Acharya Samanbhadra in Swambhu Stotra writes, now is the discussion of destiny is starting. Okay. So we will be discussing one after each, and in this sequence only, we will have this efforts also coming up. Okay. So now we are discussing destiny. Yes. So the 14th module is destiny. By understanding the nature of destiny, we can eliminate the doership of us, okay, by accepting the destiny. Okay, this is 14th module all about. Now,
The 13th, sir, according to
Sorry,
last
13th.
1 minute. Where 13 began? Let me see.
I thought 12 began at page 36.
Okay.
At
So
likewise,
now I got the mistake. So 12th ended. I will tell you where it ended. 12th started from likewise in Charnan Yoga and Dravyan Yoga. It started from there, 12, and it ended page number 38. Yes. First paragraph, permanence natured. So that is end of the 12th, and the 13th also started from there. And it goes on up to page number 39, last paragraph. Okay. So the from the well-known Acharya Samanbhadra begins the 14th module. Okay. So now, Darshiji, you read the 14th module.
okay, sorry. Here, Acharya
14th module is about what?
Destiny.
Yes, destiny. put the heading as destiny. The well-known Acharya Samanbhadra.
Okay. The well-known Acharya Samanbhadra writes in Swayambhu Stotra. Here Acharya Samanbhadra addresses the Supreme Lord and says, O Jindeo, you have correctly proclaimed that futurity which is known by operations arrived at with the existence of internal and external causes is unassailable. That is, its power cannot be assailed. Whatever is to happen, happens. There is no other way out. Even then, the miserable worldly being remains troubled with the pride that he can do some particular action when even in the presence of a number of instrumental causes, a deed cannot be accomplished unless the time for its accomplishment has arrived. Saint Padmanandi writes, persons in their minds think of their welfare alone, but the future eventuality does that which happens to be to its liking. Therefore, good people should leave attachments and aversions that arise in the origination of delusions and enjoy their eternal bliss for all the times. Pandit Ashad Harji writes at page 83 in Adhyatma Rahasya, if you have really determined the mysteries of Jain tenets in accordance with the teachings of the real saints, abandon forever the proud attitude of I can do something, and accept the goddess-like future eventuality of substances. Here, future eventuality has been termed as goddess-like. Commenting on this, Pandit Yugal Kishorji Mukta writes, whatever accomplishment, in whatever time or place, by whatever method, is reflected in the omniscience of the Lord, that accomplishment attains fruition that very time, in that very place, and by that very method. This statement
so this word,
about future...
word is fruition. The one which I was doing mistake, you pointed me out, Darshitji. That same word is here, fruition. There is a typing error.
It's a typing error, okay. Fruition at that very time, in that very place, and by that very method. This statement about futurity does not make any difference in the concept of future inevitability, because this, along with the accomplishment itself, the instrumental cause thereof, is also reflected in the omniscience of the Lord. One-sided niyativad, or future inevitability or occurrence of events without any causes, which clearly appear to be impossible, is not the contention of that statement. Apart from this, substances do not change their modifications according to the sentience of the omniscient being. The reflections in the omniscience occur in accordance with the modifications of the substances. Consciousness follows the shapes of things do not follow consciousness. Pandit Todarmalji has dwelt upon this subject at many places in his Moksha Prakasha. Some of his comments at page 39 are as below. Thus one may wish evil of others out of anger, but such evil depends upon future inevitability. In the same way, one may desire his greatness out of pride, but greatness depends on future inevitability. Same way, one may play deceit for favorable achievements, but favorable achievements depend on future inevitability. In the same manner, one may desire to possess the desirable treasures out of greed, but such possessions depend on future inevitability.
So future inevitability means destiny. Okay. Everywhere it is written word future inevitability, but actually it means destiny. Bhavitavya. So we are discussing Bhavitavya now. Yeah.
Kashai Pahut and Thaval include the following. Question. Why did the divine voice operate in these 66 days? Answer. Due to the absence of the chief preceptor. Question. Why did Sodharma Indra not present the chief preceptor that very time? Answer. Did not present because in the absence of time, fruition, helpless Sodharma Indra had no power to present him. In the illustration given in Kartikena Praksha, it has been said in very clear terms that the behavior pattern of substances that has been reflected in the sentience of the omniscient being as regards substance, space, time, and modifications cannot be avoided by the lords of the heavenly being, nay, not by Jinendra Dev himself.
Stop.
On
So
this,
this is the end. This is the end of 14th module, and this is the end of discussion on destiny. Okay. So in terms of destiny, there were quite a few references from Padmanandi, Saint Padmanandi, then Pandit Asadarji, Pandit Todarmalji, and then Acharya Samanbhadra. So everywhere one thing that is being highlighted is that the future is inevitable, bhavitavya. Okay, things happen, any action takes place as per future inevitability. Nobody can change it. Okay, so for every action to take place, the future inevitability is one of the component of that action, and without it, the action cannot happen. Okay, so bhavitavya is also a component in the action that is being taking place every moment. You cannot deny bhavitavya. It is one of the 5 components that are responsible for any action to take place. Okay, so that was the conclusion. So we see around 4 or 5 references, and everywhere the same sentiment is being echoed, that you cannot change the destiny. Now this last example of Bhagwan Mahavir Swami, so Bhagwan Mahavir Swami had attained omniscience knowledge, and he was in the Sammosaran, and people were waiting for the divine voice to come out, but it was not coming. 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. It so happened that 60 days, 66 days passed, but Bhagwan Mahavir Swami never uttered a word. And all the people who were there in the religious congregation, they were very upset that why the voice is not coming out, why we are not able to hear what the Lord Mahavir has to say. Okay, so that conversation is here mentioned here. Why did not the divine voice, Divya Dhvani, operate in these 66 days? Answer: due to the absence of the chief preceptor, Gandhar. Gandhar was not there. So if Gandhar is not there, how the voice will come out? Because Gandhar is the only person who can interpret that Divya Dhvani. And Gandhar understands himself, and then he passes on to other acharyas. And this is how the tradition has come to us. So the answer is due to the absence of the chief preceptor. Why did Sodharm Indra not present the chief preceptor that very time? Answer: did not present because in the absence of time fruition, helpless Sodharm Indra had no power to present him. Okay, so this again proves that without bhavitavya, nothing, no action can take place. Okay, and for each and every action that is being taking place, there will always be one factor as destiny. In the illustration given in Kartik Anupreksha, it has been said in very clear terms that the behavior pattern of substances that has been reflected in the sentience of the omniscient being as regards substance, space, time, and modification, dravya, kshetra, kal, bhav, okay, cannot be avoided by the lords of the heavenly being, nay, not by Jinendra Dev himself. Okay, so this is the end of the 14th module. Now, what the 15th module says? 15th module says that even ignorant being, those who have attachments, they also are not the doer of non-self activity. Okay, any activity that is being taking place in the non-self substance, even the ignorant being is also not a doer of that activity. That is what the 15th module is all about. And we have time, I think. Let's see. 13 minutes are there. So anyway, we will read these, and time permitting, I will explain also. So the 15th module starts from here. On this, there are some who argue that it is all right. Okay. We begin from there and we end on the next page. 15th. Next page. Page number 43, first, second, third paragraph. It is therefore that he asserts that God may not be able to do things, but he can do. Okay. So there is the end of the 15th sequence. Now, who will read? Jinali ji, you read.
On this, there are some who argue that it is all right that Jinendra Dev cannot alter the course of events because, according to Jain philosophy, Jinendra Dev is only a seer and knower of things, not their agent or doer. But if the Bhagwan cannot alter the course, can we also not alter it? If ever we cannot alter that, we will become dependent on the sentience of Bhagwan. We shall have to do as is known by him, or our modifications will be guided by the consciousness of the Supreme Being. What they say is not correct because the modification of substances do not depend upon their sentience of the Supreme Lord. The past, present, and the future modification of substances have only been known by the consciousness of Bhagwan. Sentience only knows non self, does not create its modifications. Just as substances are not dependent on sentience, sentience also does not depend on substance. Modifications of the both assume shapes of their own accord. I do not understand how the independence of substances stands shattered when sentience merely knows them. The independence is not hurt by sentience, but by our own lack thereof. Sentience, without interfering in modification of substances, merely knows them. Secondly, how ridiculous it is to say that Bhagwan may not be able to effect any change in the course of modifications, but I can do it. Thus, this person wants to become greater than God himself. This matter of small powers wants to do what which the master of all the great powers could not do. Somebody can retort that Bhagwan is completely detached and omniscient. He has no desire to do anything. Being completely detached being, and by virtue of being an omniscient, he knows all the future course of modifications, and therefore he does not feel like effecting changes in the scheme of things. But we indulge in attachments and aversions and are partially sentient only. We do not know the future and we have the desire to show that we can do something. Why do you compare us with the detached and omniscient Supreme Being? To such a man, the Acharya says that he has not only said that Bhagwan is not the doer of the other modifications, but by the word Indova, it has also been proclaimed that even the Lord of the gods of the heavens cannot do it. That is, nobody else can do it. Jinendra cannot do it. means the detached and omniscient being cannot do it, and Indra cannot do it. Means persons who indulge in attachments and aversions cannot do it. By using the word Indra along with Jinendra, the Acharya wants to tell us about all beings in indulging in the incomplete consciousness and attachments, because Indra is the most powerful amongst those who indulge in incomplete consciousness and attachments. It is to remove this doubt that the word Indra has been used. But this ignorant being is not anxious about God, he is anxious about himself. It is therefore that he asserts that God may not be able to do things, but he can do. The object of the
Stop. This is the end of 15. And the discussion is about a person who is an ignorant being, right? So he believes that Jinendra Bhagwan cannot do it, but I can do it. He considers himself to be superior than the Jinendra Bhagwan also. Okay. And here the word mentioned Indova. Indova means Indra also cannot do it. So Indra is the most powerful person in this universe. Okay. So even Jinendra Bhagwan cannot do it. Indra cannot do it. But this ignorant being is not able to realize this mistake, and he is not accepting that God may not be able to do, but I can do it. And this is belief is a wrong belief because of delusion, and that's why he is suffering in the fourth state of existence. Okay. So the what would be efforts here then? Efforts here would be to understand and accept this principle, that the sequence bound modification principle is such that it is showing the independent nature of each and every substance, and not only substance, their attributes are also independent, and their modifications of each moment is independent. Nobody can alter the sequence of those, not the Jinendra Bhagwan also, and not the Indra also. Okay. So this is what they wanted to explain in the 15th module. So Jinendra Bhagwan cannot do it means the detached and omniscient being cannot do it. And Indra cannot do it means persons who indulge in attachment and aversions cannot do it. By using the word Indra along with Jinendra, the Acharya wants to tell us about all beings indulging in incomplete consciousness and attachments, because Indra is the most powerful among those who indulge in incomplete consciousness and attachments. It is to remove this doubt that the word Indra has been used. But this ignorant being is not anxious about God. He is anxious about himself. It is therefore that he asserts that God may not be able to do things, but he can do. Okay. But in actuality, he also cannot do. God cannot do, Indra cannot do anything, and we normal human being also cannot do. So our primary function is to just know and see. Nothing else than that, nothing else beyond than that. And if you are able to accept this as it is, then it requires great effort, because every person have this mentality of doership. And if they accept this principle that there is no scope of doing anything, then they feel that their efforts will be futile. And that is why they are not accepting this principle of sequence bound modification. But when you study deeply, everything is clear and there is nothing wrong in this principle. And the moment you accept this principle, and the moment you feel relaxed, there is no tension, there is nothing in your head, everything is happening in automation mode. Nobody is doer, each substance is independent. Okay. So this is how the 15th module comes to an end, and then the 16th module starts, and I will just tell you where it ends. Yes. 15th ends there, then 16th starts the next paragraph. The object of the above assertion about sequence bound, this is where the 16th start, and it goes on to the next page. It ends here. First, second, third, fourth. Yeah, it ends on page number 55. Sorry, 45. First paragraph. Ignorant about the courses of events. Okay. Here the 16th module ends. Okay. So we'll be doing it tomorrow, this one, 16th one, and then time permitting, we will be doing the 17th one also. Okay. So this is all that we have to do. In case you are not able to understand anything, you just ask me right now, or you can ask me later on also personally. Okay. So we, from all angles, we are trying to prove that this principle of sequence bound modification, that each substance is independently performing its own duties, and those actions are sequence bound. Nobody can change that sequence. So when you accept this principle that nobody can change that sequence, then automatically your doership extinguishes. You are no more a doer of anything. And the moment you become only a seer and knower, and that is the moment you feel relaxed. No tension, only happiness. So this is such a good principle. Okay. Just revise once more, and if you have any questions, you can ask me tomorrow also, and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay. So निज निधि निज में बताई यह